Now, in this section, we're talking about how to get what you want. So it would probably make sense to talk about how to figure out what you want.
Yeah.
And this is a concept called a goal.
Okay.
And a lot of people, I think, assume that they know what a goal is when they might not actually have a very clear picture about what a good goal looks like.
All right.
Okay, so we'll go back and think about, and last week we talked about mental simulation.
Right.
And our ability to actually imagine something happening and simulate out how we would do that.
Right.
And then what the results of that would be.
Okay.
Okay, goal setting is a way of applying mental simulation in a way that will help you actually get to where you want to go.
Okay.
Okay, it's also related to perceptual control theory in the sense of a goal is consciously setting an out of control state in your life.
Got it. Okay.
In a way that prompts you to actually move towards that.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, now, some goals you can actually use, and some of them are mostly worthless. And we'll separate it out here. Okay, good example of a worthless goal. My goal is to be happy.
Right. It's hard to know when you're done.
Hard to know when you're done.
Yeah.
It's hard to figure out, okay, my goal is to be happy. What do I need to do to be happy right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's too general.
Yeah. Okay.
And so well-formed goals help you do two things. Okay. The first is it helps you visualize what you want exactly. Okay. You should have a very clear picture in your mind of this is what I want. This is some state. This is some situation. This is how I know when I've reached it. Okay. And the second is to make you excited about achieving it.
Yeah.
That's the motivation part,
Yeah.
right? A goal is something you're supposed to want to move towards, right? But so often we're actually trying to move away from something. Like my goal is to stop being miserable.
Right.
Is not a good goal. Okay. We'll talk about states of being here in a moment, which are just as important. They're decision criteria. But a goal is something that you should be able to very clearly visualize.
Right.
And it should be something you want to move towards.
I think we should talk about this for just a second because this is different than the drive to move away from something threatening like the tire. This is a different discussion.
Yeah. Well, it's somewhat related, but a goal is something that...
But we want to move towards this.
We want to move towards a goal.
Right.
Not away from something.
Right.
Okay? So an example of a well-formed goal, this is actually a very easy test that you can do. And I call it the Everest test.
Okay.
Okay. So I want to climb Mount Everest by this time next year.
That's pretty specific.
Is a very good goal. It's well-formed. There's actually a criteria. It's positive. You're moving towards something.
Yeah.
It's immediate. It's something that you can start working on right now. It's concrete in that there's something out there for you to actually do, something that exists in the world. And it's specific in terms of you want to do it by next time of this year. Great goal. Okay?
In theory.
In theory. If you want to have good goals, they must pass the Everest test. Okay, so when you are, by this time next year, standing at the top of Mount Everest, very satisfied with yourself, you can look at the world around you and say, I have achieved my goal. Okay, and if you can't do that, it's not a goal. It's actually something else. It may be a state of being, which we'll talk about next.
Okay.
Or it may be something else entirely, maybe not very well formed. But the entire purpose of having a goal is to help you visualize what you want, which is yourself standing at the top of Mount Everest a year from now, and to make you want to move towards that.
Okay.
And so the emotional component of a goal is extremely important too. If you're not really jazzed about it,
right, you're never going to do it.
You're never going to do it. And so many people set goals that they think they should have. A classic example, I want to have $1 million. Why? Why do you want $1 million? Why is that important?
Right.
Because, money in a certain sense is like, collecting hammers. After a certain point, they're of diminishing marginal utility. It really doesn't matter. It's what do you want to do with it that's important. And the setting your goals around the doing what you would do with it are often far more valuable.
Cool.
So goals help you visualize what you want and help you be excited about achieving it. And if it doesn't pass the Everest test, if it's not an achievement, it's not a goal. It's probably something else. And we'll talk about the something else in the next video.
Great.